Hey guys, so I feel like I'm coming down with another pretty weird headache here, so I'm going to try and record before period 4 rolls around and I'm out of commission again. Um, we're starting a new chapter today with chapter 7. Maybe if you could, I think. Sorry, random notifications. Uh, if you could message me to let me know you're here by reviewing with me how the test went for you yesterday. Like, did you think you did okay? Did you feel unprepared? Was there any questions on the test that you liked or you didn't like? Was it in a right amount of time or was it too long, too short? What did you guys think? I guess I gave you 2 days, so hopefully no one said was it too long. But like, pretend that was an hour and 20. Could I use something like that again, or when I give you guys the next test or whatever it would be? Is that a good length for something? That just helps me know when we're making the next one. So if there's any question you're like, I still didn't like it, or if something didn't make sense. I had some questions yesterday, but right now my brain is not letting me remember exactly which questions were some of the more confusing ones. Oh, somebody was asking something about the horse hair. Why horses? I don't know. With the toothbrush example, I was just trying to be different and weird, so sorry about that. But anyways, yeah, I'll just go through this lesson quickly with you guys for our first one, chapter 7. If you do have questions, you can message me on Teams there. But if not, I'll probably be just taking her easy and answering questions and whatnot. So, anyways, feel free to contact me through there. So as we go on to chapter 7 and chapter 8, these are some of my more I was gonna say more favorite. I don't know if that's the right English, but the chapters that I actually think are more interesting and more useful because they go into marketing and logistics. And so, it'll be actually practical information. It'll kind of talk about how to get products basically from an idea to an actual piece. And this is where we kind of and I had before done like a sale with everybody. So. Don't know that we'll be able to do that full on sale. Actually, I know we won't be able to do the full on sale. I don't know if any of you were here 2 years ago, but I had, with my class, we'd done a sale in that front lobby there where everything was like super cheap and silly. There was some foods, there was some created ideas, different little things for sale, and had them kind of make up an idea, figure out what a good pricing system would be, and then actually go ahead and create that and distribute it and advertise it and things like that. So anyways, it's a really practical thing. I'll see if I can come up with any cool ideas that we can maybe even move away from test possibly this unit to do something a little bit more like that. But that was kind of their summative last year. So hopefully I can create some sort of unique summative where you get something from basically from idea to product somehow. Maybe something online. No one wants to be buying or selling things right now, possibly. I'm not entirely sure, but if you guys have any ideas for some sort of cool summative to message me, that'd be awesome. So in saying all this, sorry, 3 minutes of rambling by Mr. Ellis, pretty typical. Oh, this is my grade 9 math assignment. I had them going outside doing parallelograms and being ridiculous. Let's go over to business. So in this chapter 7 unit, it's basically just to get into what is marketing, and I know that seems kind of silly because maybe you already have a good sense of it, but I think a lot of people have there's common misconceptions or people have the wrong idea what marketing actually means. So just pause for a second and answer this question for yourself. You can just pause my video right now and answer this question. Okay, maybe you didn't pause it, maybe you did. If you did pause it and you wrote something down, I bet you most people, and if you ask somebody on the street, I think marketing to a lot of people means advertising, right? And you think of making posters or videos or YouTube videos with the little ad that rolls at the start. Basically, you just think of advertisements mostly. But that's not really what marketing means. Hopefully I didn't distribute this to you guys in here. What do marketing actually mean? What does marketing actually mean? I do believe I actually already sent this to you. Wow, I spelled it wrong twice. What does marketing actually mean? So anyways, if that was a mistake on yours, you can fix that as well. I believe that I have already sent this to you, but I'll double check in a minute when I'm done this. So marketing, really, I want you to break down the word. Remember when we learned market early on? It was like basically, the group of people you're selling to. You had your domestic market and your foreign market, right? There was two different markets. So marketing is basically the entire process of not just like advertising something to get to that market. It's the entire process of getting your idea to the finish line, getting it to market, right? It's taking your idea and getting it to the market. It's marketing. That doesn't just include coming up with an idea and then advertising it and selling it, right? It's the logistics behind it. It's the production behind it. It's every single piece in the puzzle. It's almost like the map. And that's why I'm going to ask you down here to draw a little diagram today, drawing an arrow from idea to the next step, of what it takes to get your idea basically to a sold product in the customer's hands, right? That's marketing, going from an idea all the way to the end. So I'll just click through the PowerPoint. We're going to look at what does marketing actually mean. You could summarize that in your own words, what I just said there. Maybe you want to pause and do that right now. But there's also this definition here as well. So with this definition here, basically, just like I said, it is the sum total. So it's the entire process. Sum total, just think sum means like the amount of all the activities added together. Adding is sum, right? So the adding of all the activities, including getting the goods and services from the original producer to the ultimate consumer. So basically, it's just the person who had that original idea, whoever it would be, to get to the ultimate consumer, meaning the ultimate normally means the end. So I don't really love the wording here. Just think from idea to the consumer or the customer. So that includes market research. That could include, market research, basically we'll talk about that in a second, but if you're going to have an idea, right, you want to know if it's going to work. So you come up with your idea and then you actually go ahead and look and see if the market wants this. Maybe there is no market for it, right? Like nobody wants this, no one will use this, or maybe there's already other companies out there and you're gonna have competition. Maybe you ask people if they have it or want it or whatever. Then you go into your product development, which is when you actually go and design and start to think about making that product, like kind of looking for sources of materials. Then you go to pricing it, which will be affected by your product development and whatnot. It'll also be affected by your logistics, which we'll get to in a second. Then you're going to go to advertising and promotion. So now you've got a price for something. You've kind of got your idea, your development done. Then you're going to start to go ahead and, promote these things and advertise them on the internet or in newspapers or wherever it would be, magazines. And then you're actually going to go off and sell the thing, which is sales, and how you're going to do that, which stores you're going to sell it in. That's a big part of marketing. How are you going to get it there? Is it going to be all online? Are you going to sell it in big stores like Walmart? Or are you going to have like your own stores like the Apple Store or something like that? And logistics is how do you get it from point A to point B? Basically, how do we source everything? How do I get my finished product around the country? How do I get it shipped to people? Am I going to use FedEx? Am I going to ship all of my things when I go to Indonesia by boat or by train, plane? What would be the cheapest, best way? So we'll get to that. So market research, that'd be our first one here. And if you're going to draw the map, so this would be the start of the map, okay? I want you to start your little diagram here with your, down here, with an idea. Maybe you want to draw a light bulb or something like that, and then draw an arrow. And now would be your market research stage. So you're going to have idea, arrow, market research. So basically, in here, right, where's my market research? There's just a couple kinds, and this is kind of stupid, but market research finds or collects data to help solve marketing problems. Okay, marketing problems, you'd think market, it'd basically be the idea like, a problem would be we need something, or there's not, like, really your product should be solving a problem, right? It's that's how you're selling something. Like this thing exists because it's fixing this thing in your life, right? You need this thing because you didn't have the fastest or the latest, or it's easier to use this, or it's healthier for you it's better for your back. I don't know, thing like that, right? You're going to kind of research. So in doing that, there's two different types of data that you could collect for your market research. Secondary data is what most of us use because we're too lazy for primary. Basically, secondary data is collected by someone other than the user. For example, census, surveys, stuff that you find online, things like that. Okay, it's anything that you maybe find online. We used to say like find it in an encyclopedia or book or whatever it would be. Some sort of like this would be like an educational article, like a peer-reviewed article, like universities would output. Those are kind of your best source there. You can see like Harvard does impressive surveys. A lot of different universities in the States and Canada too, they do impressive surveys. So that'd be secondary data because you'd go to look at it, right? You're not doing it unless you go to Harvard or whatever, but it's secondary data because it's not you. And primary data is basically observed or collected by you or the business. That relates specifically to its needs or problems. So it is more specific. It's very rare that secondary data is conducted specifically for you, right? You're kind of stealing someone else's information or sources. Not really, but using data that's already been collected that's not initially related. Whereas primary data is like, okay, I want to see if people would use this new like back support thing. Well, you're going out there and asking people specifically about back support, specifically about, what do they think's missing, and that helps you design your product for sure. So now we're into the product development stage. So basically, right, I want you to, in your little chart here, you've got your idea with a light bulb, draw an arrow. Then you're going to have your market research, draw an arrow. And then you're going to have your product development. And maybe underneath, if you need to write little infos in, that's great. But I think in the general idea, you guys will understand this stuff. So product development basically is what most companies use, their market research to help develop a new product, taking consumer reaction into account. So you're going to do some sort of market research, figuring out what the consumers want, right? Consumer reaction. Do they like the thing? Do they not like it? Whatever it would be, taking that into account. So market research is a major part of this product development. We need that in order to develop the product, hopefully, as companies don't want to risk the high costs involved without some assurance that they will be successful. So this is really saying, why would you go to so much trouble making something if you're not assurance that it's going to work? And you never know, right? You never know that it's going to be successful, but definitely doing market research helps, asking people what they want. Right? Asking people what they want out of a product. So definitely market research helps with the product development stage because it'll make you make less mistakes. If you took communication technology with me, this is kind of like when you're doing the brainstorming and then there was the part where you make something and then you ask people. It's like, okay, if you just straight up like went to making something without like asking other people for what their opinions were on your sketches first, then you might have to like restart, right? It caused you problems. You went into all this time designing something, drawing something in the computer without asking anybody if they thought it was cool in the first place. Pricing. Okay, so this is this is where I want to. I was gonna play a game with you guys today, but we're gonna start class tomorrow with it, and it's really fun. It's not, I don't know, it's as fun as we can get in business. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a bunch of items that I found on eBay, and then we're going to we'll see if we can make some teams, and then you have to guess the right price. So I show you the picture of the item. You're not allowed to go on eBay, but you got to guess what the price would be of that item, and the closest group without going over. I don't know if you guys ever played Price is Right, but it's like what they always say, like closest guess without going over, that sort of thing. So when you're pricing a product, this is like one of the most important stages because you want to look at a lot of different things, right? You want to make sure that if there's anything else similar out there that you can compete with them, right? You want to make sure that your price competes. You also want to make sure that, you're going to go ahead and pick something that is not going to lose you money. And it's important to know your pricing before we get to the advertising and promotion stage, because if you just completely advertise your product and people go to look for it, and then they go to your website or wherever your info is, and you don't have the price set already, people are going to be very confused, right? You got to have the price set first. So the price of a product must take into account, so it must factor in, must include the amount of labor, okay? So how much work cost for labor, And so this is why, right, when you're thinking you want to lower your prices, because in the end, you're going to have to compare to your competitor. So if you initially factored in Canadian workers with like high quality materials, and maybe in Canada the electricity of running the factory and the gas and all these other like overhead basically means like your cost of like having the building operational, right? Your water costs, everything to keep your employees happy at the plant, all those sorts of things as well. Maybe even gas if you have like employee cars and stuff like that. All those things factor in into what your price would be. So maybe to lower the price, right, you have to find cheaper labor and you got to go for cheaper materials and maybe find out cheaper plans. Although if you're in Canada, this is pretty well going to be set in stone. Your overhead, there's prices for electricity and stuff. Obviously, items that are sold in stores are marked up. As the retailer, somebody that's going to sell here needs to make more money. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. On an item, there's normally something that says MSRP. And sometimes companies do that. It says MSRP. I don't know if you want to make a note of this below, but that would be manufacturer, suggested retail price. And what that is doing, it's saying, okay, like this is how much it cost us to make it. They're probably selling it to you, the store, right? This is a store. She looks like she's looking at a phone case or something. But they sold it to her for like, $20, but they're going to suggest that you sell it based on their competitors for $30. So the store gets to make $10. That's pretty much a little overkill. I don't think the store would get to make half as much as what it costs, but it'd be something like that, right? This is what they're suggesting. The store doesn't have to take that into consideration because it's suggested, but sometimes products will mandate that. Okay, so then your advertising promotion. 1 second. I'm just going to pause. I have a killer headache. 1 second. Okay, sorry. Just took an Advil, but I'm like sweating a little bit here. Basically, okay, sorry. I don't remember where I was at. You need, if we go back through, you got your arrows going on here. Sorry, let's just exit here. Remember, back to your arrows, you have your idea, and then you do your market research, then you develop your product, then you price it out, and then for your advertising and promotion, this is kind of where like you're basically just like convincing someone or convincing the customer that they need your product or convincing them that they want it or to buy it at the very least, right? Putting their hard money towards the thing that you've had an idea for. So you kind of have to think like the best way to reach your audience, and sometimes that depends on what your product is, right? Like if you're gonna sell something to old people, maybe the internet is not the best way to do that. And you also have to think about cost as well, right? Often like radio right now, because radio is starting to die, radio's a little bit cheaper. I actually think personally radio is like an awesome, still awesome venue, because I think a lot of people in their cars still do that on the way home from work. They're tired. They're like, oh, they hear something about something so relaxing, and then you hit them with an ad for something that's going to make their life so much better, right? On their way home from work in the car, or they're by themselves listening to the radio, just looking for some peace and quiet. So I personally think radio is pretty great, but obviously internet ads are awesome too. They're a little creepy. I don't know if you guys ever get those ones, like Mr. Geller was just showing me his like cool, I think it was called like a souffle or something like that like cooked stuff in water. And then like I've never Googled that in my entire life, and you guys have all had that happen to you, but like 2 seconds later an ad pops up on my Instagram for that. It's like, okay, it's just a little creepy, right? But yeah, interesting stuff. Okay, so then we're finally going to go to sales, and that'll be like basically the next decision we have to make, second last decision total. So you've got your advertising promotion. Maybe you have a little picture that says that. One more arrow that goes towards sales. And you kind of have to choose, right? You have to either choose between selling products to retailers, and a retail store could be something like Shoppers Drug Mart or the Superstore if we're talking food, like or Walmart or some place in the mall or some, I don't know, whatever. It could be any store. or you open up your own store that depends on what you have as your product, right? Like some brands make like their own stuff, and so you're just gonna sell like, Apple products in your Apple store. And I haven't walked around in a mall in a long time, but like it could be like you're opening up your own store for your specific product, and you just sell that product or your types of products at that store. And there's stores that are becoming more and more rare, but there's stores that do that for sure, right? That sell just their things. You can think of like even like cars, right? Cars, you go to like if you want to buy a Chevrolet, you go to like a Chevy store. Obviously, there's some companies that like band together. They own a bunch. Chevy owns a bunch. Chevrolet, Buick, Pontiac, GMC, all those different things. But they would sell them at their own stores. Or you choose to sell online, right? And that's where a lot of people are going nowadays, especially small businesses. They're choosing to sell their own thing. I was just thinking, I don't know why I was having a hard time thinking of their own retail stores. Think of like coffee shops, right? That's like you make your own coffee, then you're gonna sell your coffee. You can open your own store there, things like that. But anyway, selling online is definitely a huge trend, especially right now, right? You're going to sell your product online, and you're going to have a website, a little store to do that, things like that. Yeah, so anyways, lots of different companies that can help you set up your online stores, things like that. There's actually there's a Canadian company called Shopify. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that before, Shopify, but they help you set up online stores. And I have a friend that works for them actually, but sorry, this is not me. Seems like an advertisement right here, doesn't it? But anyways, there's lots of these different things. But yeah, you can start your own website. They help build for you if you want, or they just help you with the store part of it. But they help you sell stuff, and they do a lot of the managing as well. You see, it's pretty cool. You can actually click here. Oh, shipping, right? That's pretty cool. They help you with shipping. I don't know why that was being annoying. Get your orders out the door. Whether you're starting up or scaling out, ship confidently with your simplified right tools built. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Discounted rates, right? Instead of you having to pay Canada Post the whole time, you're saving 47% with Canada Post. That's really cool. You can get shipping labels like printed right in Shopify, so that way they can pick them up and drop them right off, right? So I just think it's pretty. There's some pretty cool things that people, once your business gets bigger, you can start to think about stuff like that. And here's some examples, right? This Fabrications, I guess she's like a fabric person, but yeah. Anyways, look at all those savings, amazing. Okay, I'll shut up. Okay, so where was I? How are we doing for time? Okay, good. We're doing good. And then our last one, right after we have done our sales, our very last slides, I promise, is logistics. And this is kind of talking about the shipping. This is like, okay, you figured out where you're going to sell it, right? You figured out where you're going to sell it, whether it's retailers or your own retail store or online. And then you got to decide on logistics. And basically, right, like that will depend on these things here. The easiest logistics are if you sold your product to a retailer, because all you got to do, and often if you're like working with Walmart will straight up like pick up the order of whatever it is from your door. Now, they're not going to do that because you're not going to be able to sell your tiny little thing at Walmart. Walmart's only dealing with people who can produce like enough stores for country, like enough items for countrywide sales, right? But like if you're going to start selling your new line of cheese in a local grocery store or something like that, then all you have to do is figure out how to get your cheese to the grocery store. So you're like, they're going to take a cut, but it's way easier to do the logistics, the shipping, if you can get it to a retailer than it is selling online, right? Selling online, you have to deal with every single customer individually. And now Shopify helps with that, but you still, right, especially if you're just doing like something where you post your website and you have to pack every single box yourself and send it off, or maybe you hire employees to do this, but you have to do every single order individually, and it's pretty small scale. You're going to actually expand a lot quicker, and eventually most companies go this way anyways, but selling to a retailer, because you can send them a ton of items and the logistics are way easier. So as you get bigger and bigger, it's hard to manage the logistics of just selling online, right? You're going to have to start possibly selling to retailers. So that's the idea with sales there. Okay, so yeah, if you've got this is pretty easy no, right? I just wanted to know what do you guys think the majority of the population thinks marketing means? I think a lot of us think advertising. What does it actually mean? It means basically getting it from an idea to actually like the logistics of getting it into your customers' hands. So I wanted you to draw out those steps there. How many total steps are there? That's a great question. There's sales, which is the last one. Advertising and promotion, that's 2. Pricing is 3. Product development's 4. Market research is 5. And your idea at the very start, which we didn't really mention here, would be 6, right? So there'd be 6 steps. So you have 5 arrows, hopefully. Idea to logistics, 5 arrows, 6 items through there. We're going to do this tomorrow because I am not feeling it today. I just thought it'd be really interesting if you guys would watch this video. This has some really cool, interesting thoughts about Steve Jobs, who was really, depending on what you think about him, whatever, he had an interesting mindset of marketing, and that's what he was really good at. I don't know if you guys have seen documentaries on him before or whatever. I think it's called Jobs, that movie even. But interesting mind at the very least, even if you didn't really like him. But if you watch this here, must watch, huge clickbait, right? Please watch that. It's only like 5-6 minutes, and then you can answer these couple questions at the bottom there, and that would make me really happy. Awesome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm going to pause that or stop it and upload it right now.